With the THAAD system and roughly 100 U.S. soldiers to operate it now on the ground in Israel, ready to defend America's top ally in the Middle East against a missile attack, the top Democrat on the House Foreign Affairs Committee weighed in on the latest development.
And unfortunately, we need to have Americans there to operate those systems because the Israelis don't. And so to protect Israeli innocent citizens, that's the reason why the administration is sending that in. But most importantly, I think, is that we still need to have a negotiated agreement.
The presence of U.S. troops also places them in the line of fire if another Iranian strike on Israel were to happen. The Biden administration also believes that sending a THAAD battery to Israel has eased some of Israel's concerns about possible Iranian retaliation and general security issues. And for more, let's bring in Stephen Cook with the Council on Foreign Relations. He is a senior fellow in Middle East and Africa Studies. Stephen, great to be with you again. As Owen mentioned, State Department spokesman Matthew Miller confirmed the U.S. sent a letter warning Israel of consequences in the next 30 days if it does not allow more humanitarian aid into Gaza. What kind of consequences could the U.S. impose?
Well, this letter is actually something that the administration is required to do if it believes that the Israelis are not providing enough humanitarian aid to Gaza. It's not that aid is not at its lowest point, but it is not as high as it was this past spring. The consequences may be a pause of certain weapon systems bound for Israel. This obviously isn't unprecedented. The United States has paused the delivery of 2,000-pound bombs and some other components in the past year. But this is intended, and it was something that was done at the behest of Congress, intended to send a message to the Israelis that humanitarian aid is a high priority for the United States. There's a debate in Israel about whether actually to facilitate humanitarian aid that many Israelis and the Israeli government believes is hijacked by Hamas.
One thing the U.S. is sending to Israel is the THAAD missile defense system. I want to talk more about that. What does that signal about the ongoing threat from Iran and its proxies? And do you think it will act as a possible deterrent to Iran?
Well, the THAAD system is a very sophisticated system. There's only 9 of them in the world. And what it is an effort on the part of the United States to incentivize the Israelis, actually, to not hit Iran's nuclear sites or energy infrastructure by indicating to the Israelis that there is a sophisticated defense system. This is sort of part of a negotiation between Jerusalem and Washington over what Israel's target set will be when it does finally respond to the Iranians. Of course, there is the problem of Iran's ballistic missiles, which are the largest. Iran has the largest inventory of ballistic missiles in the region and can do a lot of damage to Israel. So that THAAD defense system is actually very important and a crucial component now of Israel's multi-layered air defense system.
Yeah, and talking about Israel planning to retaliate against Iran, the Washington Post had a report that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has given his assurances to the Biden administration that they won't attack Iran's nuclear facilities or oil fields until after the election. However, the Prime Minister's office responded on X saying that Israel would listen to the U.S. but would make final decisions based on its national interests. How do you see this playing out?
Well, I would listen to this statement from the Prime Minister's office on X. I give that greater weight than a Washington Post report based on people familiar with discussions. That's a direct quote. I think the Israelis have been listening to American advice, but they haven't always followed that advice. So I would not be surprised if the Israelis, based on their own calculations of what their interests are and what their security are, in fact, attack energy infrastructure or the Iranian nuclear program.
Yeah, let's talk about this really quickly. Almost out of time here, but if they were to attack Iran's oil fields, say, or facilities, what kind of impact would that have on the country?
Well, I think the potential is, especially with the energy infrastructure, it would squeeze the Iranian economy and make things more difficult for Iranians.
All right, we'll leave it right there. We'll see what happens. Stephen, always great to hear from you. Thanks for your insights.
Thank you.